Hello and welcome to hobby vlog number 41. If you're not yet a subscriber and you do enjoy my content, please do consider hitting that subscribe button, and if you are subscribed, don't forget to ding the bell and select all so that whenever one of my videos goes live, YouTube does tell you about it. Now this video is brought to you by a slightly stressed beard. It's been a very stressful week, mainly due to hard disk data issues. The hard drive that I have been using to store all of my YouTube clips on had a catastrophic failure on Thursday morning, very early. I clicked on a folder and it disappeared, and so did 1.2 terabytes of other data. And I was not a happy bunny, but I can cope with that. I have bought in the past a good software to recover data, and so I ran that, and 20 hours later it had recovered all of the data, which was a relief. So I started to back it up, restore it to another hard drive, and almost melted that one. But the only issue there is that hard drive happened to be the one that has all of our pictures of Rosie on it, and that was really serious because while my YouTube stuff I can recreate, most of it's obviously been published, so it's just my habit of keeping everything that makes me want to keep all of my old clips, and I do. Losing every single photograph of Rosie from before when she was born, so the scans as well, was just yeah, I almost died of shock. So there wasn't very much hobbying that went on for 2 days this week for that reason. I have now purchased, and I'm waiting for delivery of, a RAID, if you know computers, of a network RAID system, so that I can put both Rosie's photographs and all of my YouTube stuff and have it striped across with RAID, maybe one or five, I'm not sure which I'll use, but at least then if a hard drive goes down I won't lose anything, because it takes 2 or 3 hard drives to go down before you start to lose data. So there we are. The beginning of the week I did get quite a bit done, so there is some stuff to show you in this vlog, but the end of the week not so much. Fingers crossed by next Sunday my new hard drive and backup system will have arrived. I am struggling for storage because it was my big 5 terabyte drive that crashed, and I don't have very much else, so the reason I bought it. So I'm not sure how much filming I'll be able to get done this week, just because I don't actually have anywhere to put it, but we shall see. We will find that out next Sunday. This is for this Sunday. So I will stop talking now. That's the story of the end of the week. Oh, and I did also get nominated for the I Am a Wargamer. Thank you, Gregory, from Wargaming World. And if you are not yet subscribed to his channel, please go check it out. It's brilliant. Solo playing Chain of Command and a few other games now as well. It's really, really cool to watch. So thank you for nominating me. I will be trying to get that video done this week if possible, and nominating my 3 people as well. So anyway, enjoy the video. I will see you again at the end of it. This didn't happen last night. I was busy with Rosie time, and then I was doing some editing for the vlog because it's now Sunday morning. Talking a bit quietly because bad night for Rosie last night and Angela, so they're both still asleep, so I'm letting them have a nice long lie-in, and I'm going to get a few bits and pieces done this morning. First of all is going to be taking this off and checking that this has now dried nicely. So let's remove all these weights. Yeah. So that has done very well, and it hasn't even broken the back, which is good. So the next thing I'm going to be looking at doing is building this area here. I'm not going to work on the water until I've finished doing the terrain, or at least working out the terrain at this end. So I'm going to be looking at the cliff, sculpting in the trees. So I'll gather together the materials. I'm not sure when I'm going to start that, probably not straight away, but I'll gather the materials, do some planning, and bring you along for the next step as soon as I start. I spent a bit of time thinking about this, and I've worked out my next step. The next step is to put a backboard on. Now what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to put this is a sheet of MDF, which you can't see very well because of how bad my light is at the moment here. So I'll turn it around. It's a sheet of MDF, which is going to be stuck on the back here behind the rise. And I'm going to put some more 1 centimetre blue foam on the front of it. So what I'm going to need to do here, and I might do this off camera because it's a bit awkward, is I'm going to mark on here how high up the back of this comes. So I'll draw a line across there. and then I'll take this board and I'll cut some blue foam so that it will stick onto this backboard entirely without any overhangs, and then I'll come along and I'll stick that on with a bead of the Gorilla Glue or Gator Glue at the bottom here and on the bottom of the blue foam. And that then should make it so that it's quite nice. What that will do is it will make it a little bit more hard wearing, but it'll also give me a nice solid strong structure onto which I can sculpt the trees and attach the door and all those other good things that's going to go on for this Gates of Moria Durin's door. So I'm quite looking forward to that, and I think this is going to be the next step. So I will get this done and I'll show you it once I've marked it and I'm about to glue it in place. So let's get that done. I have put the Gator Glue and have glued the board to the back of this XPS, as you can see, and I've got the lip. And I thought I'd bring you along for the next stage to show you how I'm going to go about doing this. And I might do most of this off camera, but I did think that you might be interested. It might be quite nice to see how this works. Let me just get the light right. Yeah. So what I have is I have these 90-degree shapes. These are actually designed for the purpose I'm using them for, which is very unusual. I don't normally use things for what they're designed for. And what these are designed to do is to make sure that what you're assembling is actually at 90 degrees. So what you do is you clamp the 90-degree set square to your board, and then you can then put pressure on or put a weight on, and you know that it's not going to tip forwards and it's going to stay at the right angle. So I will get some clamps and I will clamp this in place, and you can do this probably most easily by using a clamp like this if you can get it to hold. Let me just do that very quickly. It's a bit difficult at this angle. I'll probably stop filming actually. I'll tell you what, I'm going to get this clamped and then I'll bring you back to show you what it looks like, because I need to move around and I'll get in the way of the camera. There we are, that's now clamped in and glued, and as you can see we have a clamp here. I could actually probably put one more over on this side if I wanted to, but it's held quite nicely, it's quite firm, and I've clamped it down at the front here as well and at the back there. So I'll leave that to dry. I've put or to go off even, I've put the Gator Glue on, so that should be quite solid. And when that's done, I'll then be able to start texturing and building up and sculpturing in this area. Let's just grab our friendly Gandalf and make sure that we still have space. Yes, we do. He is going to be able to stand very nicely in front of that doorway and to command it to open by saying friend. Melon, as you all know. As you can see, I actually changed up the right angles that I used on this. I made use of a small metal one here, a larger metal one in the middle, and then this plastic one at the back. The plastic one only because I bought it thinking it was huge, because it wasn't cheap, and then when it arrived it was almost comedy how small it was. So I've made use of it now, so I don't feel quite so bad, feel like it's a waste. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove these weights and the clamps and make sure that it's actually glued in. I've not yet done this, so you'll be watching me find out that it hasn't worked if it hasn't worked because I've not checked. So let's remove these and see what happens. Right, that is not very stable at all. So what I'm going to need to do is make that more stable. And I think the way to do that is going to be to run a bead of the glue along the front and then let that to go off overnight. So I'm not entirely sure why that hasn't worked very well. Looking at it, it is glued. I can see the glue in there dried. It just hasn't sat down as low as it should have done. I think that's what the problem is. So what I'm going to do is get, as I say, the Gator Glue and run that in there along that edge so that it rolls inside, and then that will hopefully make it a little more stable so that I can start to work on the actual you can see just how wibbly wobbly that is. It's not good enough, that really. So I'll get that done now and I'll bring you back for the next stage when that is dry. So I'm set up here to do some flocking, and what you can see at the back is the white tower, and I brought this in so that I can try to get the same effect as I've done on this when I work over on this larger area. Obviously I'm only going to need to really worry about making sure it's the same effect very, very close around the edge, and I am already thinking about different things I can do on this little hillock here. I've got the path that goes down here, I've got a little bit of a slope that comes down here, and I've got the other access which is coming down here. So I'm going to leave the camera running for a bit and do the flocking. I don't know how much battery's left on it. I have done a fair bit of filming, so it might die, and if it does, apologies, but I'm just going to leave it running, and hopefully this will be interesting to watch while I play some music. So I'm going to gather my stuff and get going. I don't know how much of that I'm going to be keeping on the camera or how long it will take to speed it up, but that's about 25 minutes, so it's a good long length of time. But I've done enough, and there's a couple of reasons, one of which I am quite tired now. The second is I want to let it dry because I now need to rotate this to get to the other side. However, what you saw was me doing my pretty standard flocking technique with 3 colours, dark, middle and light, and then an over of dark just to bind it all together and to meld it all together. And then over on this ridge I've pulled out these stones and gravel. Now this is from the back bank where I live. I picked it up a couple of a week or so ago because I needed to have some more of the sand which I use mixed with grout to give the grout a lot of body. And I was left over with this mix of stones, as you can see, some quite large stones and also gravel, and so I've just scattered that over the top and glued that in place as best I can, and I do want that now to dry, and then I'll rotate and finish the rest of it, so maybe tomorrow, maybe the next day, but that's good enough for tonight. I'm pretty tired and I'm looking to wrap that up now anyway. So that was a good session. It was unexpected. I didn't think I'd drag this out this evening. I'm quite pleased to have. I'm looking forward to getting this done, and I'm planning a game on it with Songs of War. I think probably going to be my first attempt will be Songs of War to try to and I'll be playing over this. I'm quite excited about that. This has dried nicely overnight. However, as I thought, I hadn't put enough PVA on last night to get all of the stones. I did that deliberately, and I just want to make that very clear. This is what I decided to do. Because my PVA is so watered down, it's not very thick. What it's meant is that when I've put quite a deep pour of gravel, it just hasn't all sunk down into the PVA. So what I'm going to do this morning is I'm going to come along with the dropper and drop PVA on and drop some 99% alcohol, and then let that dry again. So I'll do that now before work, and then later on I can turn the board around and I'll be able to do the rest of it and the path and finish it off, which is really, really cool. So there we are. It's dried well though. It's, the large stones are solid enough, and with a little bit more glue around them they'll be absolutely fine as well. So yeah, really cool, and I really like the effect. I think it looks absolutely great. Last night, for various reasons, I was up quite late, and so didn't put the camera on because I wasn't really in the mood for filming. There was a lot of noise locally and I just couldn't sleep. So I got the static grass applicator out, and I did the static grass which I want to do on this, which is really cool. And I used WWS patchy static grass 4mm for this, which is one I've not used for a little while, but I really like. It's about as long as my static grass applicator can cope with, so I don't use it very often because it doesn't give me the best of results. But for this, where I want it to be a bit of kind of falling over and looking a bit scrotty and scraggly, it does work very well. So what I'm going to do is hoover over the top of that, and then the next thing is going to be to do clump foliage. And what I'm going to be doing is putting it around here. There's a few places where my blending of the colours hasn't been all that great. Mainly here, to be honest. I'm going to put a bunch of clump foliage and other tangled stuff here, so it looks like maybe some brambles, whatever, next to the track. But other than that, I'm really pleased with how it's looking. So I have my hoover, and let's get clearing. There you are, now you can see the effect I was going for, so I can reuse that. I'll put all that static grass back into the pot. Something that's taken quite a lot of my time this week is reorganising and getting this airbrush and now painting area done. So initially in this room I was only going to have my airbrush booth, which worked quite well. I had Bakir, my builder, put a bench up. You'll notice now, the eagle-eyed amongst you will notice that it is no longer there. I took it down. On the right hand side I have one of these IKEA desks which you can raise and lower, which is going to be really convenient for me, because if I want to sit down and paint or stand up and paint, I can do both. I can get it to exactly the right convenient height for painting. I have exactly this bench which I use, this desk which I use for my office, and I love it. So I ordered another one and that arrived and I put it up this week. Let's do some panning action. That is over here, and what I'll do is in a minute I'll go in, move the camera forwards and show this a little bit better in detail. On the left hand side I have put up some of these black shelving units that I like so much, and I've pulled down all of my paints. Now, as I say, initially I was going to do this just as an airbrush booth, but I decided after some thinking that it'd be better to have this as where I do all my painting. A couple of reasons. Room 13 has been crazily warm this summer, really hot, and my paint has been drying on my brush, and that's why I've not done as much painting as I want to. But this room is much cooler, particularly in the evening. The way you're looking basically south east there, so the sun rises and it's warm in the morning, but the sun sets behind me and I've got a 2 foot thick stone wall, and so this room gets nice and cool, and particularly with the windows propped open, it's a really good temperature for working in right now, and so that means that this is going to get more use in the summer. More than that, I was going to have to split my paint collection, or have two paint collections, because I can airbrush with all of these paints and also hairy stick brush. So having everything together just made it more utility. So this is going to be my painting area. Now you can see I've got some kind of like lights stacked up and what have you. The lighting solution is not yet solved. There is one light on the wall here, but yeah, so I need to work that out. I'm thinking about maybe getting some new lights. I don't think those standard lights are going to work very well. But ultimately, once I've solved that, it's going to be really good. So what I'll do is I'll just quickly move the camera and show you the painting setup, so that you can see a little more detail how it's going to work. So let's go to non-Steadicam for this. So what you can see is I've got my extraction system in here, and sat next to it on this shelf I have the compressor, which is really good because sitting it on the floor was annoying. It was very difficult to find the on switch, but sitting it there, it's in a good place. What I will have, and is on its way, is another cutting mat which I'm going to put down here so that I can protect the surface and make it last a bit longer, and also do cutting if I need to for preparing of miniatures. But this is where my main painting setup's going to be. Eventually I'm going to put some storage on this wall here going up there, and I have a few bits and pieces there. You can see I've got my painting handles and a few things stacked here at the moment. And then at the back on these shelves, when it gets caught up, that's quick, I've got all of my airbrushing stuff there, so cleaning, and also all my primers and flow improvers, and then my 3 racks of paints are here. And that means that I've got 4 shelves still with space that I can make use of for other things. So at the moment I've got my power driver battery charger. and the neighbours are doing some work in their garden. So this bench here, this desk here, is going to be used for spray painting, so actual aerosol spraying. That's the rack that I normally sit things on, and this means that I can have everything together in one area and keep it all nice and tidy, which is obviously very, very important to me, because tidiness means that you're going to be more productive. So there we are, that is my new spray area, my new painting area, moving out of room 13. Room 13 will now become just for terrain and for my paid work as well. So I thought I'd show you that. It's taken a lot of my time that I would normally have used to do hobbying, but it's well worth it, and I hopefully will get back to doing some more painting very soon. So there you are. I did actually get quite a lot done at the beginning of the week, didn't I? Quite pleased with how things are coming on. I've also been steadily going through the Battle Games of Middle-earth build, which you'll see in the first week of September, because I'm doing that monthly now. So yeah, I have been productive for the first few days, but yeah, since Thursday everything's gone out the window. Anyway, fingers crossed next week is more productive and this issue with the hard drive is resolved. I'll try and find another hard drive somewhere so I can not panic so much about filming, and I'm able to continue editing, and hopefully I'll be able to be really productive next week and have a good video for next Sunday. So I'll wrap that up, and thank you very much for watching. I do appreciate it. It really is cool. Please comment below if you have anything to say. I do love hearing from you, and I always do reply to every single comment I receive. I'm still able to do that, though maybe if more and more of you comment, you can make that difficult for me, but I would love that difficulty. That would be a welcome challenge for me. So please do comment if you have anything to say, and I'll wrap up by saying thank you for watching, and please stay healthy, stay safe, and stay well.